80,000 hours. On average, this is how much time professionals will be working in their whole lifetime. $80,000 hours. On average, this is how much time professionals will be working in their whole lifetime. If we take an average of a 9 to 6 kind of job and all of the day offs we have during the year, this is how much we're going to spend for our professional career. It's a lot of time. And we have two options as human beings and professionals. Either we dedicate it into something that really makes sense and is meaningful, or we don't really proactively think about where we're going and potentially end up waking up at 80 years old having regrets about how we spent these 80,000 hours. So when I grew up and when I was studying and when I started my professional career, it was very clear for me that 100% of these 80,000 hours I wanted to spend on meaningful projects and a meaningful career. So I grew up in France. I had a happy, uneventful childhood, and I ended up studying at HEC Paris, a business university back in my hometown, Paris. And back then, because I knew and I had that gut feeling that I wanted to do something meaningful, I took each and every opportunity I could to work and learn about social and environmental impact. Or about sustainable development is another way to say it. How do I use my skills? How do I use my time to actually give back to people that have less than I did, than I was lucky to have, and to the environment that is completely neglected by human activities nowadays? How can I use this time to make something meaningful? Through these studies and through different professional experiences, I discovered what we call social entrepreneurship and many other different kinds of careers that actually enable you to combine earning a living with having a meaningful impact. There are many ways that you can do this. You can be a social entrepreneur that tries and strives to solve a problem through business solutions focused on basic needs and environmental solutions. You could also join a big corporations, especially in India, for example. You have a law that is called the CSR law that forces big corporations to put 2% of the net profits annually into projects that socially and environmentally matters. So there are booming numbers of careers that would allow students and young professionals to actually get involved and have an impact at the same time. When I talked to students of Techno India Group, which is where I work from and I work out, I usually tell them about this concept of ikigai. And ikigai, which is a Japanese term which usually is not really translatable into any other kind of language, really is defined by this impetus or this energy that you have in the morning that gets you out of bed. So you have a lot of people that, because they don't proactively think about meaningful careers, end up in a job that they don't really like and wake up in the morning really walking out of their bed like this. I didn't want that. I wanted to be full of energy. I wanted to be self-motivated. I wanted to feel that I was useful on a daily basis. So I moved to Kolkata a year and a half ago from France with this idea that I would have more opportunities in Kolkata to make a difference, because scale and unsaturated market in India are a bit more prevalent than in Paris. So I was very happy to move, although it was very challenging, personally speaking, moving from a Western country onto Kolkata. Although I was very supported and very well welcomed, you have to change a whole set of habits of yours in the past into new ones, into a new culture, into a new country, into a new professional culture, into a new language, into a new food, into new habits on a daily basis. But as I usually say to students and to people that I meet, I was not born to have an easy life. I was not born to have a life into a comfort zone. I was born to experiment life as much as possible. I was born to welcome challenge as much as possible. Otherwise, you don't welcome life with all its challenges. You may potentially have a boring life, which I really didn't want to have. If I had stayed in Paris, probably I would have ended up, having this métro, boulot, dodo, as we say, subway, work, sleep, repeat kind of routine that was not attractive for me. So, moved to Kolkata, had an opportunity to work in the education sector, which I was dying to work at for years before that, at Techno India Group. And I was lucky enough to choose my position internally as sustainability director. And as such, since I arrived to Kolkata, I've been trying to multiply the opportunities for the students and the staff and the faculty to understand, to learn, and to work on sustainable development related issues. By that, more or less, let's talk about the social and environmental issues that our world is direly facing nowadays. You can have a look at the 17 Sustainable Development Goals framework, which is a very nice way to conveniently represent and illustrate sustainable development. So it both tackles social and environmental issues from gender equality to climate change, is what I mean. And we need to better integrate these issues into our educational curricula so that our younger generations are enlightened on these issues and have the willingness, for some of them at least, to dedicate their professional career into doing some impactful work. And then I realized I needed to be way better connected because the scale and the number of students and the number of people to impact is way too much for me only to take an isolated action. So that's when this new venture that I co-founded quite recently, Y East, came into my mind. I needed to be better connected, and I couldn't find a one-stop platform that would allow me to connect easily with professionals working in the sustainability and social sectors very efficiently. So I thought, maybe I could create it myself. Maybe I could use this gap that I am observing and become an entrepreneur trying to bridge that gap. So that's when Y East came to existence. A little anecdote about it. I had the Y East concept into my mind as an aggregating and networking platform. So I'll tell you a little anecdote about the beginnings of Y East, the venture that I co-founded. So that day, I was having the Y East concept into my mind. I was like, I need to create a platform where people can easily connect in the sustainability and social sector, especially focused on East and Northeast India, because since I had moved to Kolkata, a lot of people kept telling me, nothing is happening in East and Northeast India, and a lot of people were flying away to more dynamic poles of the country, like Delhi and Mumbai or Chennai or Bangalore, and Kolkata was not being very attractive anymore, Kolkata and the East and Northeast regions as a whole. And I think I got a bit tired of, listening to all of these testimonies of people that I had kind of given up on their own place. And I circumstantially happened to be in Kolkata, and I believe, wherever you are, as fancy or not fancy as your place is, New York, Kolkata, the most remote place of Tamil Nadu or Cambodia, there's a beauty in giving back to the place that you are in and do your best no matter where you are. So I was having this concept in mind of Y East, specifically focused on these regions of this networking platform. But it was a really, really initial idea in my head. And a friend of mine, that day, I was telling him about this idea, and he told me, you know what, you will write a paragraph about Waist, about what you have in mind. You'll write a paragraph right now, and today itself we will post it on Facebook and LinkedIn. And my answer to this was, are you completely crazy? This is not mature. The strategy and the direction is not clear. I am not ready to take that onto public spaces and platforms. There's no way I do this. And he forced me. He sat me down, he made me write this paragraph, and he published it. And we published it together on that same day. I think without this moment, probably either Waist would not have happened at all, or Waist would have taken a lot longer to be born. From that particular experience, my point is to say to everyone who's listening, if you have an idea, just do it. Just publicly announce it, talk to your friends about it, and self-motivation as well as motivation from outside will come to you and will force you to take rapid action. Because especially on these topics, we can't really wait any longer. So just do it if you have an idea. So Waist came to birth, came to light from that particular moment. Once you have publicly announced that you're going to work on something, you have to do it. That's mechanically what happens. So it's been a year from this particular moment. And since then, we have grown in quite an extraordinary manner. We have an online platform where we invite organizations working professionally on social and environmental issues to get together, to sign up. And every month we are meeting in Kolkata so that physically we can get to talk to each other, we can collaborate more. And as a whole, the sector gains momentum and gains credibility among all of the other sectors of the economy activities. So this is what we're doing. We're soon to open a second chapter, Kolkata, and now we're going to soon open to Darjeeling in a couple of weeks. And it's been a tremendous, tremendous adventure. What's really great also about meeting all of these professionals, and there are a lot, you just need to figure out where they are. This is the point of Waist. We are taking the word out on the so many people that are trying to professionally change for the better. So there's so many people doing great things that organically projects coming to us. One of our flagship projects is in partnership with another Waist member called Buddy Solutions. It's an Australian startup that is basically an e-commerce platform for environmental solutions and products. Anyway, we have partnered with Waist and Buddy Solutions. And on the 1st September of 2019, so a few months back, 6 months back, we started cleaning up the Ganges. So 1st of September, we met. We took our reusable gloves, ourselves plus maybe another 40 friends and volunteers, and we started this movement of cleaning up ourselves. Instead of waiting for everything to happen, for leaders to take the lead, let us be leaders ourselves rather. So we just took our own hands and we started cleaning up Malik Ghat next to Howrah Bridge in Kolkata. And since then, every Sunday, we have been coming back to this particular place. And we have been changing mindsets. We have created awareness among local communities. It has been an amazing journey. Of course, it's very far away from being done. There's long-term impact that we need to achieve, which will, of course, require patience and more time. But we are heavily planning in engaging and hiring local cleaners that are now unemployed so that we can build it into a venture that eventually will provide more solutions to cleaning the rivers, cleaning eventually the oceans, not impacting negatively all of our marine life, which ends up eventually in our own bellies if you eat fish. So this is one of the flagship projects. Another couple of projects that we've worked on, always in partnerships with Waist members. One of them was called the Street Up Calcutta campaign, where with a partner called Be Polite, we distributed solar light kits to street vendors in Kolkata so that they can earn more revenues even if the sun goes down. So it keeps coming to us on an organic basis. I think one of my main lessons from this whole adventure, and there's a lot more to come, of course, it's only the beginning. One of my main lessons is, as I was telling you earlier, just do it, don't hesitate. Usually what I see is the European entrepreneurial mindset tends to doubt a little more, to go through a few market surveys to make sure that the product or the service will happen. Let me doubt a bit more about the name that I'm going to choose for my venture and the positioning and the strategy. While I really got a lot of learnings from the general Indian entrepreneurship mindset, which tends to just do it and then you figure it out on the way. Also, what's beautiful with just doing it is that your guts are your best friends. I hear that a lot in India, especially the kind of influence that your parents may have on your decision-making processes, or your peers, or any kind of social pressure that comes onto you. And you tend to take your decisions based on what other people expect of you. Your guts are your best friend. I remember when I was 16 or 17, just like in most countries, you need to figure out and you need to choose yourself if you're going to go for science or economics or arts and literature. It's more or less what happens. I was a very good student back then, and everyone was telling me, oh, don't close yourself any doors, you don't really know what you want to do later. Just go ahead with science, because you'll get more time to think, and you definitely have the capacity to take that path. So on that day, I had to put out my choice. I stupidly ticked science, listening to all of the little whispers around me. And at that moment, when I put that paper where I ticked that choice onto my prof desk, I felt something was wrong. I felt it was not in line with what I was, who I was, and where I wanted to go. And at the very last second, I changed my tick to economics, because I felt from somewhere that it was more in line with who I was. And I never regretted that choice. So even if you face some amount of social pressure, your guts should be the final decision maker. And your guts should tell you, I am right. I know better than anyone else where I want to go, and no one else will tell me what to do. And even if it comes with the price of maybe disappointing a few people at that particular moment, within time, they will all realize that this choice was the best for yourself. So it requires a little bit of courage. It requires a little bit of bravery to go ahead with your own guts. This is my main lesson back then. And then on the way, I think I'll just trust my guts as much as I did back then. In the same way, when I get more opportunities to talk about YEs, to talk about what I do, to engage in more projects with more partners. In the past, I used to be a bit more reluctant, or to say no a lot more often. Every time there's a door that opens to you, welcome it with a yes. The worst case scenario is it's going to lead you into a challenging adventure, from which you will get to learn a lot more than if you had stayed in your comfort zone. So when my Canvas talk reached out to me a few days back and proposed this talk to me, I didn't know about them, but I did not hesitate, because just say yes to all of the opportunities that are, reaching out to you, especially this platform, which is a great platform to spread the inspiring journeys and words to younger and less younger generations. So thank you so much for the whole team who is here. And just do it, just follow your guts, and just welcome the challenge, because this is the only way you can optimize your learning curve about other contexts, other environments, and also about yourself. Thank you.